When it comes to combating gun violence, you and Mayor Hogsett have both said part of the problem is state legislation that prohibits the city from tightening restrictions on guns. As you know, the Indiana legislature is dominated by your fellow Republicans. Those state lawmakers rejected pleas from law enforcement and removed the requirement for a permit to carry a handgun. On the city county council, your fellow Republicans have said your approach is unconstitutional. What makes you think your party will do an about face on guns?
My colleagues did not say that my approach was unconstitutional, because it's not. My approach is to set as a legislative priority of a Shreve administration that I will take to the General Assembly next January the request that Marion County be given the authority to reinstate the requirement for permitting for concealed carry of firearms. My Republican council colleagues, although I don't serve with them, hold as unconstitutional the proposal that came through committee and passed without their support, that was brought forward by Mayor Hogsett, that was proposed 2 weeks after the General Assembly adjourned this past session. There are constitutional ground rules that exist, and that a Shreve administration or a Hogsett administration has to recognize and follow. What was proposed and what passed out of council is not constitutional and cannot be enforced. What I have proposed is a pathway for lawful consideration of a request to reinstate permitted carry in Marion County, because we have challenges in Marion County, or parts of Marion County, that are, in my view, unique. We're the state's only first-class city. The police have asked for this. If I were a legislator this past session, I would have been compelled by the testimony of Superintendent Doug Carter, who is, I believe, of my party affiliation.
Correct, former sheriff, in fact.
Yep, and spoke vigorously in opposition to the repeal of permitted carry. I would have been compelled by the statements and position of the IMPD Chief Taylor. If I were a legislator, if I had that vote, I would have kept that in place. I'm not running for the legislature. I'm running for an executive position with this city, but I will ask the legislature to re-implement that requirement in this city. I don't have the ability or aim to ask for that statewide, but I think that that's something that we need in Indianapolis. I think that Broad Ripple is different than Bargersville. Hallville is different than Heltonville. You know, I mean, it's the challenges of the city that I seek to lead that motivate the legislative agenda that I will work in due process to take before members of the General Assembly. And when I talked about what would be a differential between the way I would approach governing relative to the incumbent, it's that engagement with the General Assembly that is a big part of that. You know, I've got to work with them. They've got to work with me. Our current
Do they have to work with you?
Well, I would say to members of our General Assembly that Marion County, one of 92, represents 25% of our state's GDP. Marion County plus the donuts represents 175 billion of our state's GDP. If you don't want to work with the economic engine of the state of Indiana, that's your choice, but you might do so at your peril of continued service. And if you're confident that your seat is safe, at least recognize that you're not being helpful to the citizens of Indiana, because we are the engine that drives this state. And what we do as a county and as a region has in large measure enabled our General Assembly to pack away a $3 billion surplus. Do they have to? No. Will I work hard to help them understand what I've just conveyed to you? Absolutely. Directly, repeatedly.